Come on, Sarah. Let's take the whirly bird. Get into the whirly bird.
Remember when we first met John McClane? Argyle picked him up from the plane and took him down the Nakatomi Tower at the Christmas party. And the terrorists were overzealous, but it was sweet when they killed Ellis. And with a little help from Alan, John McClane kicked ass.
Welcome back to Shat the Movies, the podcast where we answer the question, were the movies we loved when we were growing up really that good? Have you ever caught yourself thinking, why don't they make movies like they used to? Can you still remember spending your Friday night searching for the perfect movie rental at Blockbuster Video? Do you know what Blockbuster Video is? If you answered yes, and this is the podcast for you, I am one of your hosts, Gene Lyons, and alongside me is my co-host, Big D, Dick Ebert.
Hello.
And each week
Alicia.
Each week, we take a look back in time and decide if our favorite films still hold up. The movies we cover are chosen by you, the listeners, who generously commission the films you love. If you like to see all the movies we have covered, we'll cover one and choose one for yourself. Please visit shatpod.com and have a look. At the end of each podcast, we'll provide you, the audience, with a number of ways this movie takes to get off your respective butts. So thank you so much for listening. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button and share with a friend. It's how we help the podcast grow. Additionally, subscribe to our sister podcast, Shat on TV, where we review TV series such as Westworld, Taboo, American Gods, Game of Thrones, True Detective, Lovecraft Country, and Watchmen. Find all information on past episodes at shatpod.com/TV. Finally, to hang out with us live, follow and subscribe to our Twitch channel, shatpod.com/Twitch, and our YouTube channel where we play video games, host watch parties, and edit this podcast live. All that being said, Big D, what movie are you reviewing tonight?
Gene, I'm so excited. Everybody's got their thing, their weird thing, right? You like vampires.
That's not weird.
Ash liked musicals. Carrie liked
vampires.
Yes. So my thing has always been like post-apocalyptic, the Armageddons, the total destruction, the annihilation of the human species. I like to see destruction. I want to see everything go wrong, and then people come up with a plan and how to solve it. Maybe it's my love of A-Team as a kid. 45 minutes of a problem, you get B.A. Baracus with a torch and a welder. You get to come up with a solution. You save the day. And tonight, my favorite genre, post-apocalyptic zombie horror. I loved it. Roger and I, that was one of the things we talked about when we started, was our love of old zombies and zombie films and video games. So I was super excited when Mark P. wrote in and wanted us to go back and review one of the OG original 1980s, the 1985 American post-apocalyptic zombie horror film, Day of the Dead.
And Mark P. from New Hampshire wrote in and said, Almighty Shat crew, I appreciate you being a part of my daily commute and for sharing your fondness for great films. Approximately 1 year ago, I emailed you regarding my commission. The reason for my delayed response is, frankly, a bit troubling. I've struggled to come to terms with the bashing that both Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Willow received. I was genuinely surprised by Big D's 5-wipe rating for both films. Willow, brownies aside, is stellar, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is in a league of its own. Now that I've gotten that off my chest, let's get to the commission. When people talk about the kings of horror directors, it's unfortunate that George Romero, R.I.P., rarely makes the top of the list. That's a tragedy. Outside Diary of the Dead, I'd consider all his zombie movies above average, and his influence on movies, video games, and countless TV series is undeniable. Day of the Dead is my favorite from his original trilogy. It's dark, grimy, and the special effects might be the best of any traditional zombie movie ever made. The cast turned in some great performances, with Captain Rhodes and Bub standing out as truly spectacular. I vividly remember selecting this film due to its cover art as a teen, and I believe that it still holds up today. My only complaint about the original trilogy is that none of the films provide a true conclusion. For me, this is a solid 2-wipe movie. Hopefully, this episode will encourage some people to explore Romero's filmography and give him the flowers he deserves. Hope you enjoy Mark P. from New Hampshire.
I think he's being a little generous, saying all the films are bangers. Land of the Dead, that's pretty bad. That's the underwater, like zombies. Survival of the Dead, they weren't all great.
Mark, I'll agree with you on the Bub thing, but Captain Rhodes is a standout performance. I don't know. We'll get into it, but I think you focused on the wrong things in this movie. Other than, I do agree that out of the trilogy, effects-wise, Day of the Dead is king. Well, Big D, I know we're fast approaching Christmas, and this year we did a bigger spooktacular than ever. But I was really sad to leave our month of slashers and silly fun and violence behind. So when I saw that Mark had given us Day of the Dead as an early Christmas gift, I prepared myself for another dose of a gory good time. And then I started looking into it because I couldn't remember which one of the Romero trilogy this was. And a phrase gripped me. It was Day of the Dead was meant to be Gone with the Wind with zombies. And frankly, I got a little concerned at that point. But still, I thought, it's Romero. How bad could it be?
This may be blasphemy, but I think Romero has a little bit of Lucas in him, a little George Lucas. That people believe the early stuff is really good and really deep, and they started to think that they could make every movie was going to be a banger and it was going to be great, and they believed they could create this lore and an entire genre. They're not all great, and I was excited to come into this because I remember watching this as a kid and being terrified. I remember when I stumbled upon Dawn of the Dead, terrified, and that started my love of zombies all the way through the 80s. And the 80s were like kind of a dry time for zombies. So I was so excited because my memory was thinking, this was so real, this was so grounded, this was so much terror that this could happen. And going back now, I don't want to say I'm disappointed, but it's not the same movie I remember. So if you love Romero's films, you might want to stay away from these few early ones.
Day of the Dead is a 1985 post-apocalyptic zombie horror film written and directed by George A. Romero. The third film in Romero's Night of the Living Dead series, it follows survivors of a zombie apocalypse sheltering in an underground bunker in Florida, where they must determine the outcome of humanity's conflict with the undead horde. Work on Day of the Dead began shortly after the release of the previous film in the series, Dawn of the Dead, in 1978, but it was halted when Romero began work on other projects. Although he was given final cut privilege, the screenplay was rewritten multiple times due to studio concerns that Romero's ambitious original vision would need to be shot with the intention of receiving an R rating from the Motion Picture Association of America to ensure its commercial viability. Romero elected instead to make the film on a lower budget and release it without a rating. Day of the Dead premiered in Hicksville, New York on June 30th, 1985, and grossed a healthy $34 million worldwide against a budget of approximately $4 million. Although the makeup effects were praised, the film initially did not match the critical and commercial success of its predecessors, and the series did not see another installment until the 2005 release of Land of the Dead. That's 20 years for those of you counting. Reception of the film has improved with time, and Romero deemed it to be his personal favorite film in the original Dead trilogy. Like its predecessors, Day of the Dead has garnered a cult following and inspired numerous parodies and homages. The film was remade twice. The first is the 2008 film of the same name, and the second is Day of the Dead Bloodline, which came out in 2017. A TV series named after the film began airing on Sci-Fi in 2021, and a standalone sequel, Night of the Living Dead 2, reportedly is in active development. Let's hit the trailer.
First, he created the most frightening film ever made. Then, he took his unique vision of terror one step further. Now, George A. Romero takes us out of the night, beyond the dawn, and into the darkest day of horror the world has ever known. Day of the Dead.
There have to be survivors in Washington.
Oh, my.
They have more sophisticated shelters than this one. There have to be people in those shelters who know about us, who know where we are. With no radio contact, they'll come looking for us.
I said shut up! They can be tricked into being good little girls and boys, the same way we were tricked into it, on the promise of some reward to come. What the fuck is wrong with you people? They're dead! They're fucking dead, and you want to teach them tricks?
They have to be rewarded, Captain. Why else will they do what we want them to do? I don't want him to do anything but Drapo. Those are my men in there! That's it. Run, you fucking lunatics.
George A. Romero's Day of the Dead, the most eagerly awaited day in horror film history.
7 years after the events of Dawn of the Dead, the zombie apocalypse has ravaged the entire world. A handful of scientists and soldiers live within a secure underground missile bunker in the Florida Everglades. Dr. Sarah Bowman, Private Miguel Salazar, radio operator Bill McDermott, and helicopter pilot John, who didn't get a last name, fly from their underground base to Fort Myers, but find only a large horde of the undead and return to base, where they are told that the military detachment's officer in charge, Major Cooper, has died. Sarah becomes concerned over Miguel's worsening mental state, but Miguel lashes out at her until she stops trying to help him.
Gene, have you ever sat on a jury?
I have not.
Okay, so I got seated for an armed robbery. Everyone on the jury thought they were a forensic scientist. They'd watched CSI. They had watched all of these crime dramas. Everyone was like, well, where's the DNA? How are we going to commit if we didn't have fingerprints? I'm like, you guys watch like 5 TV shows and you think you're an expert in the genre. That's all I could think about watching the beginning of this film. Because at 85, the zombie genre was so new. There was no rules. There was no lore. There was no playbook on what you would do. Characters could do ridiculous things. I said as a kid, I thought this was like a real world grounded, like The Last of Us. I thought like, oh my goodness, what would I do? The shit they're doing is ridiculous. The strategy is terrible. Why would you fly a helicopter around the middle of a city in the day screaming from a bullhorn to find survivors? Hey, anybody out there? We know now that's a bad idea. Don't make sound. The zombies will come in hordes. It's a bad idea. We now have a playbook. We have movies, games, shows, defense. Roger and I used to draw up defensive plans. Like, how would we eliminate a horde from a major city? We would come up with ideas. And I think maybe I have to tone back my expectations and realize this was a different time. This film, we didn't have this wealth of knowledge. So I'm going to try to be nice, but I feel like the naive charm of this movie, all they needed was one like military expert on site to tell them a lot of these things are bad ideas.
I don't know that stupidity was the issue here, though. The movie starts 7 years into a zombie apocalypse. And I think much like I Am Legend, I don't remember if the movie did this, but the book certainly did. People take bigger risks out of either complacence or boredom, right? Like they're starting to feel a little invincible or just a little nihilistic. What I don't understand is we've got 2 teams basically in this survivor group. Okay. They got a pretty sweet setup. They're in a secure underground bunker. It's got power. It's got food. They're all there. They got ammunition, and nobody's in a real position of danger. You got to wonder which group wants to find more people. Like if you are part of the science group, you're trying to find a cure. And if you're part of the military group, you're trying to keep them safe. So what are you doing using your helicopter, which I'm guessing has precious little fuel, to go around screaming in a bullhorn in Fort Myers looking for people?
Yeah, seriously, we went 100 miles north, 100 miles south. That's a bad idea. You have a map.
Right.
You have some CAV officers with you. You should pick a destination that you're going to go and look. Maybe you're looking for support. You're looking for other military installations. But what they're doing is not anything that would be beneficial to anyone in the group. But Gene, I'm so excited that you brought up I Am Legend and the book. Mm-hmm. This is probably the only time you and I can have a book conversation.
Oh.
So I almost wanted to write down. Yes, I read the Richard Matheson book. I loved the take it had. I loved the movie. And it's, I remember the stories of him sitting in his house with all of the, what did they ever call them? What were the name of the infected?
The infected, yeah.
Around his house. Yeah, at least even he had a plan and they had a plan. But here, these guys, I mean, I can't hold it against them. Otherwise, I'm going to have a problem with everything these people did.
Big D, this is Day of the Dead. So, of course, we open with a nightmare sequence. It's very Romero. And then we get some zombies. Maybe that's why they went to Fort Myers, just so that people who bought the ticket were like, where the fuck are the zombies? We get them up front, front load those zombies. But the movie quickly tells us that that is not the point. And it settles into some pretty ham-fisted takes on some existential questions. What is the difference between us and zombies? And Mark, if you're listening, I hope you are because you paid for this. Like, I get that this is the strength of the movie, that it's doing things in the zombie genre that perhaps other films didn't do before that we take for granted now. But it is asking these questions. Is a human just a zombie with more complex systems layered on top of this basic zombie core? What's more important or valuable in a post-apocalyptic world, humanity or might? And to which side does science belong? Is it part of our humanity or is it part of our might? Ultimately, when do you know a war is over? And what do you do if you've survived that war, but you've lost that war? I appreciate what Romero is trying to do here, but I don't know if this is the movie to do it. I don't know if this is the team to do it.
No, and I think he was the first one to start bringing up the existential questions, right? The other question that they put their feet in the water a little bit is humans being the enemy. And The Walking Dead got bogged down for multiple seasons with Rick Grimes yelling, "We can't come back. We can't. We've lost our humanity." No, those questions in these early days, you didn't need to ask them. It's 7 years, people. You're not going to bring these undead back. They're rotting out there in the Florida sun. They're looking pretty bad. Let's go find a nice place to set up a camp, start rebuilding. They give hints at that. I think that would be a much better plan going forward.
Well, lead scientist Dr. Logan, nicknamed Frankenstein, believes zombies can be made docile through training and conditioning. But Sarah wants to search for a possible cure for the virus. She discovers that Frankenstein has been experimenting on the corpses of the dead soldiers, but she keeps his secret. Under the unstable Captain Rhodes, tension between soldiers and scientists worsens. Rhodes declares martial law and declares that he will execute anyone who interferes with his leadership. First of all, I would have thought that martial law was declared a while ago since the court system likely has collapsed, but that's beside the point. I get, again, we're 7 years into a zombie outbreak. I'll keep repeating that throughout this podcast. I get that people are letting their standards slip. Insanity is creeping in. Soldiers, oddly, are getting very fat and balding. But you can't make a 2-hour movie that's just people yelling at each other. That's what podcasts are for. Rhodes is yelling at Sarah. Frankenstein is yelling at Rhodes. Miguel is yelling at everybody in an oddly effeminate way. It reminded me so much of watching The Bear. Okay, I tried to watch The Bear. Everyone's talking about The Bear. You got to see The Bear. I saw it was on Plex, Big D. I used your account. I watched The Bear. I got through one episode, and I felt like I needed a cigarette and a long, quiet walk. It's just not something I enjoy. I don't want people with this high level of stress with no explanation, no resolution, and no denouement.
Yeah, it's when people don't have anything to really argue about. They can't argue about the facts. They just start screaming. Nobody has a point of view. None of them are coming at this from a different angle that they're trying to convince the other of something. They're all just yelling anything. I felt like Gene Wilder was on set as the vocal coach. Everything was delivered in screams. And these groups that are supposed to be opposed, they have every reason to come together. They've been working together, we assume, 7 years. They've built relationships. Some people have built oases in the tunnel. Some have romance. Some people, you said, have been drinking and smoking. Along the way, they've lost some of their compatriots. But there's one thing that they should be able to rally around is basic concepts of insanity. Frankenstein's speech, when he comes into the mess hall and he starts rambling, covered in blood, about the ideas of taming these things, he's full out mad scientist. He's waving his hands. He's rambling. This should be an easy one. You don't need a conflict between the soldiers and the scientists and the technicians. They should all just, when he walks out, say, listen, guys, okay, it's a bad thing. We got zombies out there, right? We really don't know what the doctor's doing, but I'm pretty sure he's fucked up in the head. And they'd all go, yes, okay, this is a good idea. Let's all go in there together. Let's see what he's been doing, and let's come up with a plan. You could unify this group in a second under a single sensible plan. There's a sense of urgency. They all come together. Instead, they're all fighting. There's no reason. I don't know how this group made it 7 years.
I think it's a result of making characters act a certain way to illustrate your worldview rather than crafting a worldview based on the reality of what those characters would do. It's really an attempt to shoehorn everybody into a story because you want the story to go that way. There isn't a single person, as you mentioned, Big D, who thinks Frankenstein is doing the right thing. This man is walking around covered in blood. He's babbling. Okay. He hasn't produced any results in nearly a decade. And people are still like, well, he's okay. Everybody else is a problem. I guess because he's smart guy. He's got the lab coat. He's the doctor. Everybody's going to listen to him, but they're perfectly willing to mutiny against Sarah or Bill or John. But heaven forbid we cross Dr. Logan, who's out of his fucking mind.
Like the military is portrayed as the villains here. They're the wild, out of control branch of this like survival colony. They should be the logical ones. Make the captain the one saying, listen, guys, I don't know what's going on. Make him the voice of reason. But here, there is no voice of reason. It's everybody screaming. And maybe, Gene, it's 7 years in a bunker. That's what did it. It's the isolation.
Yeah, disturbed by Rhodes' threats, Sarah visits John and Bill, who reside in an RV at the far end of the tunnels. John suggests the three of them should take the helicopter, abandon the soldiers, and fly to a desert island somewhere where they could live off the land and start a new life. Meanwhile, Logan shows Rhodes the result of his research. He's especially proud of Bub, a zombie who remembers some parts of his past life and engages in rudimentary human behavior. During a zombie roundup procedure, Miguel accidentally lets a zombie escape, resulting in the deaths of 2 soldiers. He attempts to kill the creature, but another zombie bites him on the arm. After Sarah amputates Miguel's arm to stop the infection, Rhodes calls off all experiments. Big D, I want to talk about this Hakuna Matata moment in Day of the Dead. So Sarah goes out of the main bunker and she visits Pumbaa and Timon in their resort trailer, where they try to persuade her to have an island menage a trois because, and I'm not arguing with them, they're right. Whatever is happening at the silo is fucking pointless. Like, we've established that. Dr. Frankenstein's out of his mind. The military's being a bunch of assholes. You can fit the 3 of you in the helicopter and get the fuck out of there. Miguel is dead meat, right? It's an attempt in this movie at a serious conversation that is totally ruined by the fact that everyone in it is an archetype instead of a character. John, he's Pumbaa. Okay, he's the island man who wants to abdicate responsibility. Come on, Sarah, let's take the whirly bird. Get into the whirly bird. Bill is Timon. He's like Pumbaa's skinny neurotic friend, right? And Sarah is basically Sarah Connor. She's the mother figure made strong through trauma and apparently nightmares, okay? Archetypes are fine for a silly zombie movie. I love it. Return of the Living Dead, they're like, that's punk rocker, that's kind of jock, that's sad guy, that's nerd. I'm fine with that. But you cannot bring archetypes into a film that's trying to say something profound because it just seems silly.
What was it? You can't see the eyes of the demon.
Until him come calling.
Yeah, it was very so. You're, I think, what are you saying? It's Timon. Timon's the little one. He was an Irish drunk. Yeah. So everything was like, Jesus, Mary and Joseph. Oh, Lord, Jesus, Mary and Joseph. I thought at first they were gay. I thought they were a gay couple.
I thought Miguel was gay.
Or closeted. Maybe that's why he was so angry and upset. And
well, I mean, it could be interpreted. We never actually see him and Sarah have sex. Everyone keeps bringing it up that they're fucking all the time. It could be that she's like his beard, right? He doesn't want to be outed as a part of the military. You know, this is pre Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Yeah. But if they spread the rumor that Sarah and Miguel are fucking, then all the other guys are going to be like cool with them because they're like, yeah, you're the only one here getting any pussy.
Also, in real world, 7 years in this bunker, one woman, all these dudes. I'm sorry, but something bad is going to happen. And maybe the idea of Miguel was to shield her from sexual assault.
Not even necessarily something bad is going to happen. Think about the island. Like, you're going to have a breakup. Like, Miguel and Sarah aren't going to work out for 7 years, and she's going to hook up with some other people. In my group of friends, like, the same person probably fucked the other, 4 people within 7 years.
Yeah.
And it was the 80s.
Yeah. But, Gene, I want to go back to one of the points you talked about in the description of this block. You said their idea was to fly to a desert island somewhere they could live off of the land.
Yeah, the desert island where you can live off the land, of course.
Yeah, there's a lot of stupid people in this film. So I'm going to try to list them because people are going to think, oh, I'm just being contrarian just to like poo-poo this movie. But no, the writers. They say there's a bunker in Florida. I understand maybe it was cheaper to film down there. It was a unique setting. But this is the Seminole County underground storage facility. I live in Florida. It's nonsense. You cannot dig a basement in Florida. You cannot dig 3 feet in the ground without hitting water. The water table's so high. The idea you're going to have an underground zombie-proof bunker system or storage for RVs, Florida's all sand and limestone. You could not build this thing. It's ridiculous. But I don't know if anybody did their research on Florida's topography, but they probably didn't. But now let's talk about the support crew, the in-world characters. They're terrified of riling up the zombies at the fence. So why are you flying the helicopter around at noon? Why don't you go fly up at night, look for campfires, look for lanterns if you want to find other people that are alive in the distance? Don't go out there during the daylight. It's a mistake. The doctor's going crazy. He's doing all these experiments, and he starts experimenting on the soldiers. This would be really bad if the other soldiers found out what you were doing to, I think it was the Major Cooper. You might want to, if I was going to murder you, Gene, I would not leave next to your body that I've started to dissect on the table with your wallet opened to your license and then maybe dog tags and your JRTC uniform with your name tape on it sitting right next to it.
I appreciate that.
This dude is looking to get caught. The soldiers, they're running around in their mix and match uniforms. You got a 40-year-old private Steele who's drinking. It's everyone. And I wanted somebody to be smart. And that's at least something we get now. With zombie films, there's somebody who either gets it, somebody who spots a pattern, somebody who finds out something that they can exploit, possibly an advantage, a solution. Nobody in the movie is smart. How did this group of survivors survive 7 years? It's ridiculous.
First, let me address something that we said earlier, just so people don't write in. A desert island does not mean that it is an island with the climate of a desert. It means that it is deserted, as in people do not live there. So we know that. You don't need to write in.
Right.
Now, for these other points, I think this is an attempt at efficiency, right? So I think the idea is, listen, we're trying to keep this movie compact. We're trying to keep things moving along. It's a zombie movie for an audience that probably doesn't have much of an attention span. And we're already testing that attention span with lots and lots and lots of talking. This movie is largely like an hour of just people yelling at each other, right? So you fly around in the daytime so everyone can see all the zombies at the fence line. They can see what's going on in Fort Myers. Okay, lots of zombies outside. The doctor leaves everything out. So you're like, oh shit, he's doing some stuff with Major Cooper, right? You don't have to do any digging there. It's right there in front of you. So this is for our benefit. And then the soldiers looking like shit. It's like, you just want to be really sure that, their army. And that was about it, right? It's giving you the Cliff Notes version of the rest of the movie so that we can talk more. I'm not saying it's the right thing. I think that's the reasoning, though. Also, they were on a $4 million budget.
I still don't think it was necessary. But I want to ask you this: the general genre, because there's different zombies. There's different zombies now that we've got. We've had rage zombies, like the 28 days, the 28 weeks later, that are fast and illogical. We've had the Walking Dead that are slow shamblers, but then slowly maybe become a little more intelligent. Is there a zombie that particularly frightens you? Because to me, I said you and I, with a few thousand rounds and maybe a sidearm and an AR platformed weapon, you and I could defend this cave structure. I personally am not afraid of shamblers. Do you think that we could handle these guys?
These guys, yeah. Yeah. But again, I think it comes down to the psychological part, because we physically, yes. Do we start to lose our minds after a while, right? I mean, we would be fine as long as we had a steady supply of 80s and 90s movies. We could just keep doing this every day in the bunker and we'd be okay. But
maybe we would become a mess and we would start chaining them to the seats.
Yeah. We do all kinds of crazy shit. You just get, you get bored enough. But yeah, the ones that so here's the thing. If there is a breakout of a virus and the result of that virus is it just infects people, that I can see that are coming at me, that's a way better scenario than the virus just infecting me. That's way scarier. If it's a thing I can't see, I just breathe it in and suddenly I'm fucking dying. Like, I'm way more afraid of like Ebola or COVID than a zombie.
Yeah, if it's airborne.
Ebola.
Yeah, you're
Count
stuck.
me out.
You're stuck. But I've always thought, Gene, what my strategy would be if I was stuck in a city, I would use gravity. I would try to set up some form of a trap. I would get to a building, go up high, and then trick them out off of a window or set up a trap with a kind of make them walk the plank and get them to just fall out and break their bones and hit the ground.
You know, I had defying gravity in my head for fucking 24 hours, and I just managed to get it out in the last hour by drinking it away. And you had to mention gravity again. Now I'm transported right back to Alphaba. Thanks, man.
You're welcome.
When Sarah and Bill try to gather medical supplies for Miguel, they find evidence that Logan has drifted into insanity. That's when they notice. Rhodes finds out that Logan has been feeding the flesh of his dead soldiers to Bub as training treats, and furious, Rhodes kills Logan and strips the remaining scientists and non-military personnel of their weapons. When John refuses to fly Rhodes and his remaining soldiers away from the base, Rhodes kills Logan's assistant, Dr. Fisher, locks Sarah and Bill inside the zombie corral, and orders Private Steele to beat John into submission.
So when we do movies back in like medieval times, and they didn't have an idea of how diseases were transferred, you know, where there was like the dead piling up in the streets, nobody was washing their hands. It's understandable. This is 85. People had an idea of infectious diseases. They had an idea of how viruses and bacteria was spread. Why not try to make, again, it just seems like I'm bitching and moaning as like a modern viewer, but you have a doctor, you have an idea. It bites turn you into a zombie. Maybe it's blood and saliva, right? That'd be a good idea. But we get Frankenstein's laboratory. It looks absurdly careless. The room is covered in bloody rags. It's not like a little blood on the floor, like a sterile work environment. There's piles of rags. There's exposed organs. There's pools of blood on the floor. That's a slip hazard. The doctor himself, he is smearing blood all over his shirt, his hands, his coats. It's coagulating on the floor. Nobody's concerned. He goes into the mess hall. He's like, hey, do we have any food? With his bloody gloves on, his bloody uniform. Romero's smart. Why didn't he think about depicting this in a way that the doctor would be logical? General hygiene. He would be scientific. The reckless at this point, is it a parody of medicine at the time? Is this one of the, what was he trying to, because there's got to be some reason that he didn't at least have this group of scientists bring in normal protective measures when you're fighting a virus.
The kind interpretation of this, right? Like the generous way to view this is we didn't have this sort of critique when it came to Return of the Living Dead. Like, it's a zombie movie. It's popcorn. It's the drive-in. You want to see guys covered in blood. You want to be like, oh, he's getting too close to that zombie. What's going to happen? You want the zany lunatic doctor. And I'm okay with all that if we were having some fun with it. This movie is not having fun with it. And I think that's the problem. You're setting us up in a very serious, grim sort of environment. I think Mark even mentioned that. But then you're giving us situations which only play to fun. I fully expected Bub to bite Frankenstein's finger off at any second. And Big D, I think it is fair. Your critique is fair because the purpose of this podcast, the reason why we do it, right, is to say this movie that came out in 85 by 2025 standards, by our standards as adults who have seen hundreds, if not thousands of movies, like, does it still hold up? And I don't think it does. For some reason, despite countless accidents at this facility, the military and the scientists have decided collars are the way to go. You've got like a fucking almost 7-foot tall zombie with a collar holding him to the wall. You're transporting them by collars like they're 30-pound dogs. Have they considered, I don't know, removing their teeth? Put a muzzle on them?
Yes.
Anything?
Cut off their hands.
You would use more security for a normal human prisoner than they do for these guys.
But here's why you could have made this movie 10 times scarier. 83 was when they identified the AIDS virus. So growing up in that time,
zombies.
I don't know if zombies caused it, but growing up in that time, people were afraid. People were worried about kissing, holding hands. They didn't know how you got
sharing
AIDS.
Toilets.
Yes. They're more concerned. You could have tied into that fear of AIDS. You know, here they're a little aware of the blood, the saliva. Stay away, don't touch.
In their defense, they started work on this prior to that.
You could have added it in.
The AIDS edit.
The AIDS edit, yes.
Well,
it's
back
the gays. The gays started the zombies. Yeah.
Back in the laboratory, Bub frees himself. Miguel's situation takes on even more gravity.
That's why he's so upset. He's so depressed. He was fucking one of the test zombies. That's why.
No. Watch your mouth.
It could have happened.
Miguel was an anti-hero. Back in the laboratory, Bub frees himself and discovers Logan's corpse. Heartbroken, he picks up a pistol to get revenge. Meanwhile, Miguel, who is snapped, heads off to the surface. John knocks out Rhodes and Torres, steals their guns, and goes in the zombie corral to rescue Sarah and Bill. Outside, a suicidal Miguel uses the missile elevator platform to lower hundreds of zombies into the complex. Rhodes flees but is shot by Bub and runs into a mass of zombies. John, Sarah, and Bill make it to the Whirlybird and escape to a tropical island.
So it's finally happened, Gene. At this point in the movie, I'm excited. In the zombie movie, we start to get zombies. It's I knew it was going to happen. I remember it happening. And this is one of the funniest, most unintentionally funny parts of Romero's approach to how he does this in every single zombie movie. Zombies rise usually. It looks like most people die at work and they immediately come back because people aren't maybe in like nightgowns or sleeping or whatever. Many of them are wearing their job uniforms. Many of them have hats on, Gene. How do you wear a hat? Let's just say you die. It's a violent transition into the undead. You get up and you still wear your hat. You should not be wearing a hat. Then we get all kinds of other characters. You look around the room and it was so much fun, like finding where's Waldo. You've got a bride with a veil. You've got a clown with a foam nose still on and the cone hat. You've got a groom in a tux and a bow tie. You've got a ballerina in a tutu, a mime with a top hat and white makeup. You got a football player with a helmet and shoulder pads. You've got a motorcycle rider with like a leather jacket like the Fonz and a helmet. You've got a couple other like women that look like they've been shopping with some kind of a scarf or headdress on and their little like fabric shopping bags. You've got a chef and his big I guess it's a ceremonial chef hat. Like they don't use it to actually cook, but it's like when you see them, hey, let's go meet the chef. They come out with that big thing on their head. It is absolutely ridiculous, the amount of these people. It looks like a Halloween party was the center, like ground zero for the infection. There was a large Halloween costume party with a lot of people with detailed outfits. The virus spread, the party broke down the door, and that's how these people got out into the town. Because nowhere you go, Gene, do you walk around and find in one place a mime, a football player, a clown, a bride, a groom, and a chef just walking around the street.
Big D, I've never been to Florida, but I imagine that's where you would see that. I imagine that's exactly what Florida is like. And really, like you, this is the movie that I wanted to see. I wanted a bunch of costumed weirdos stumbling around, groaning, and eating people. And I think deep down, the studio knew this is the movie everyone wanted to see.
Yeah.
Romero was like, hey, I want to do all this other shit. And they're like, that's cool, but we demand like 10 minutes of utter mayhem. And so he had to cram it in the end. Just lots of interesting zombies eating people.
We needed more of that opening zombie Florida scene. You had like a zombie alligator on the steps. I thought that was an undead alligator.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was, but you had beach goers. That was more the Florida crowd. I think that was great. I wish we'd had one or two more scenes of that. Maybe people at the beach, because they give hints that people are having some memories of their previous life of what they did. Show me zombies out there trying to ride a bicycle, zombies on a skateboard, zombies sun tanning, zombies out doing the Florida things, maybe trying to surf, going in the water and falling down. That shit would be funny.
Ruining their own education system.
That's too close to home.
I get that this movie wasn't supposed to be about zombies, but the gore, it's so good, Big D, that when the zombies finally overrun the silo, I got pissed about the hour of bullshit that came before it. Tom Savini was kind of the head of the makeup in this movie. He came back from the previous Romero movies. He was assisted by a team of artists that included two guys named Greg Nicotero and Howard Berger, who later became known for their work on The Walking Dead. I mean, it is that quality of gore, of zombie effects. And yes, the blood is a little too bright, but the body is being torn apart. Miguel's pec being like shredded by teeth, people's eyeballs popping out of their sockets. It is a visual feast, no pun intended, that serves as a reminder of what we wanted in the first place. I would have loved to see this throughout the movie.
This is where the movie shines. And the zombies in this movie are definitely a step above of Dawn of the Dead and some of the other ones later in the series. They do creative things. The shovel.
Oh,
when
God.
What is the pilot's name? Oh,
Pilot is John. The Irish guy is Bill.
Okay, Bill. Bill wielding that shovel and like bisecting one of the zombies' mouths and then shooting it like it's a golf ball. And he's got a golf club into the open cavern. It's amazing. A lot of the ones where they show the intestines being ripped out or some of the soldiers' fingers being bitten off. It's creative. It's beautiful. It holds up. Now I think we're seasoned enough that we can see how they do it. Whether it's somebody underneath a table and the head on top, it looks so great. If you would increase this by about 20%, I think this would be a different review and different movie.
And Big D, I've done a lot of hand waving. I've tried to explain away a lot of your criticism of this film, but I want to give you an opportunity to weigh in on this. When you're isolated in a bunker, surrounded by thousands of zombies, in a world where, and we get the stat from Frankenstein, the humans are outnumbered, the living are outnumbered 400,000 to 1, which means on the entire planet, there's like 17,000 people left alive, right? I'm guessing ammunition probably is scarce. This is 7 years after the outbreak. And we've all played enough Resident Evil or State of Decay to know in these scenarios, every bullet counts. You never know how many are going to be coming. You never know when. You got a ton of them on your fence line, and presumably you haven't shot them because you're trying to conserve ammunition. So I couldn't tell if the way the survivors were using their guns was a major movie mistake, like an unintentional goof, or Romero's commentary on how nuts everyone has gone, because they are just spraying zombies with this like center mass automatic fire. They're shooting zombies that are so far away, they're not even a threat. Yeah. Rhodes dumps an entire mag on Frankenstein while Frankenstein is a living human being. I want to know, like, how did you read this? Are they stupid or was this intentional?
It has to be a parody of the military, because I think Romero a lot of times parodies the police force, all the pillars of authority. The police, usually the news, the media, they're always incompetent. So I believe that he is making a parody because they have everything they need. They have tons of ammunition, tons of weapon. I assume they're trained, but their problem with the weapons is threefold. Why are they going full auto? We've mentioned before, the zombies are slow movers. Acquire a target, single shots, headshots. Why are they spraying the body? You're 100% correct. Why are they engaging at a distance? They should have positions of cover, use the terrain to their advantage. And the third one, they just can't shoot. Bub is an undead corpse who just picked up a handgun. All of his rounds, he shoots 3 rounds, I believe, are all center mass targets. Like he misses the captain with 1 shot. The other 2 are directly at him. And Gene, you and I, if we were in this position, I think we could defend the bunker, just the 2 of us. It's simple layered infantry defenses. We have to set up multiple layers of successive defensive lines, obstacles, support elements to slow down, channel, and funnel the enemy. They haven't done any of that. If you just had a simple funnel for the zombies, you said, listen, guys, let's hypothetically, zombies get in here, what are we going to do? I think you and I could create some kind of contraption or some kind of system to funnel, trap, and eliminate them. We could do it. But the movie's not into being an action movie. It spent so much time with dialogue and these concepts of I don't even know what the concept was. It's not even what was they arguing about?
I mean, again, I think it goes back to 3 worldviews, right? One is let it all go. The world is never coming back. I mean, we can really relate this to our own democracy, Big D.
Okay. So Miguel let it go?
You let it go. No. John and Bill are let it go. We never come back to this. You just have to start fresh, and you've lost, so you might as well enjoy what you've got left, right? You've got the viewpoint of Frankenstein, who is, we need to learn to live with them, right? Like make them docile, teach them to behave. And then you've got the military's view, which is cling to the old, stick to the old, tried and true, and, might makes right. And those are the conflicting viewpoints. Miguel's just lost his mind. I think that's what they were arguing over.
It sounds logical.
Yeah.
I like your explanation.
Thanks.
But I just wish we had some more action. The zombies come down in there. I'm thinking this is going to be a dramatic escape. We've got a helicopter. I'm envisioning, maybe they're going to fly away. You're going to get some zombies onto the skids. But the only chase we get, Gene, it's comically ludicrous. The captain is fleeing. He steals one of the golf carts and leaves 3 of the troops behind. And they scream out, "Don't leave us! Come back!" The dude is in a battery-powered golf cart, like 5 feet away. They're all armed. And he speeds, it was like a slow-paced golf cart going away. And this was the height of tension.
People, you might be thinking that Big D is calling an electric cart a golf cart unreasonably. Like it's just it's a underground electric vehicle. No, this thing still has like the holders for the golf bags on it. It is a legitimate golf cart. And I know Rhodes is a villain, and in zombie movies like this, that villain needs to get his comeuppance, but they didn't need to make him completely inept. Like this guy is a bozo from the beginning, right? He doesn't know how to load a magazine into a rifle under pressure. He gets shot, as you mentioned, Big D, by a zombie. His weapon of choice, for some reason, is dual shoulder harness 6-shooters. That's what he's going with. Mind you, zombies. What do we know about zombies? Well, there's lots of them. What does a 6-shooter have? Limited ammunition, and it's slow to reload. What are you surrounded with? Rifles with mags. Maybe that should be your go-to. Some people, like Bill, have fucking Uzis. Get one of those. But Rhodes' character was a total disappointment. His death was a real letdown. Other than that kick-ass line, the zombies tear him in half. They're pulling his lower half away from him. He's watching his organs like get pulled across the floor. And he's like, "Choke on him." That's pretty good.
Dude, but another thing that bothers me, and I hope it bothers you as well, as a video game player, don't leave supplies that you might need later on the ground. Don't discard shit. If I'm in this world, there's multiple characters who run out of ammunition and just throw a weapon on the ground.
I was thinking about that. But imagine you're John. So John's got the 6-shooters that he takes from Rhodes. He's climbing up a ladder,
right?
Runs out of ammunition. He just tosses it, right? And my initial response was, what, like you're never going to find ammunition again? But what was John's plan? John's plan was, I'm going to get on the whirlybird. I'm going to a desert island. I'll never need to deal with any of this shit again. And what are the chances that you're going to find .357 Magnum ammunition while you're out there, right?
What's the chance you're going to find another pistol on the island? You're more likely to find a round you could use.
Yeah, but if you're going to find ammunition, there's probably a gun nearby.
Ah, man.
You're going to get, the things weigh, they're heavy as shit, man.
You could use it as a weapon. You could just bash them in the head with it. I would not be dropping. I mean, you got the crew that was getting, when they were trying to get out of the zombie, like the stockade or the zombie, ranch where they had the zombies in the back there. They were dropping automatic weapons. They were dropping other pistols, shotguns, everything.
Yeah.
Not happening. I'm not going to be like, ooh, these bandages are too heavy to carry. Oh, these MREs are too... No, I'm carrying food, medical supplies, ammunition, and weapons. And
you know who wouldn't have dropped any of that shit? Listener Lucas, because he had 20 years in the Army and is a better shot than both of us.
He is.
Now it's time of the podcast. We give our Shat score for Day of the Dead. The Shat score is our way of telling you how many wipes this movie takes to get off your respective butts. 0 wipes is a mouthful of Greek salad. And 5 wipes is having your arm amputated by a machete and cauterized with a torch. By the way, that is not nearly hot enough to cauterize a wound, so you guys know. And also you should put the tourniquet on before you chop the arm off. Dr. Sarah. Anyway, Big D, we'll start with you. What is your wipe score for Day of the Dead?
Oh, man, sadly, I think it's 3.5 wipes. I think Day of the Dead, it's It's disappointing. I think it's a mix of too much melodrama and shouting and screaming and not nearly enough zombies. That's what you need, zombies, to qualify as a zombie movie. The bunker politics, they drag on forever and they're stupid. It's not like good politics and not them arguing about things that matter and are logical. The undead, under impressive. They're slow. They really don't seem too motivated or organized or too much of a threat. I think you could handle a large group of them, but when finally the third act swings in and we get the zombies, it's much better. It starts to move. But on a whole, this movie is not what I remembered. As a kid, I was terrified. I felt claustrophobic. I felt small. I felt trapped in a world that had gone wild. So maybe, back then, as I really didn't have an idea of the genre or the threat or zombies. It was a simpler time. So maybe back then it worked. But today, with other things like, any of the 28 days or months or later, or The Last of Us or World War Z, we are in the golden age of zombie films. We've now become, I think, too sophisticated for this. So I think 3.5 wipes.
Well, Big D raised an interesting question just a few minutes ago when he asked, like, what are the competing philosophies or what are the competing viewpoints in this film? You can illustrate those with action. So I'm going to do the thing we always say that we don't do, but like retconning this movie or just giving it a tweak here. You have an impending threat, right? The zombies are going to get in because somebody fucked up somehow, or the corral containment broke loose, right? Something's happening. Now you got to make a choice. Do you try to make a final stand in the bunker? Do you try to use a scientific way to make these zombies docile, or do you escape, right? Like competing philosophies. I went to there. I know that's not the movie Romero is trying to make, but that way you have action throughout, right? You're falling back to progressively deeper entrenched positions. The situation is getting worse. Maybe one of the plans that you had, the escape, is failing, and now you got to go to plan B, which is final stand, or plan C is the science. What's going to come through? Is Jeff Goldblum going to show up? Like you don't know, but at least there'd be action throughout, because what we got was action, decent action, entertaining action, all compressed at the end. It was an amazing final 15 minutes, which brings my score a little bit lower. But man, the rest of the movie was a slog to get through. I'm right there with you at 3.5 wipes. So that makes it a unanimous 3.5 wipes for Day of the Dead.
So before I get to 3.5 wipes, I just want to apologize. I meant to say, Willow, that is a travesty.
No,
listen, that was film number 28. Okay, we were still young at this.
Now that I've seen a proper Little People picture, I am even more entrenched in my Willow score.
But look, man, I gave it a 5. Roger gave it a 5, and you gave it a 4.5.
Yeah, I'm the voice of reason.
Do you think Lady Hawk is really better than this?
Remember, the reason why we were so disappointed in Willow was it was the wasted potential. You had the huge budget, you had the star power, you had Val Kilmer, you had Warwick Davis, you had Ron Howard, and there is no excusing brownies. Brownies should not exist in any universe ever.
Yeah, and as far as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I was wrong. That was a punitive score that I did because I was mad at Roger.
Yeah,
I apologize. If I went back and watched it and reviewed it again, I would give it at least half that score because it is cute. I mean, for what it was at the time, if I was a fan
of gritty.
Yeah, that was his whole thing. Oh, it's fucking great. If I was a fan of the IP, I probably would have loved the film the first time to see him on the big screen. But as far as this movie, coming in at 3.5 wipes, that now ties this in the 316 spot with A Nightmare on Elm Street, Kindergarten Cop, Iron Eagle, Repo Man, and Valley Girl.
I mean, if I made a zombie movie that was the third in a series and it got the same score as Nightmare on Elm Street, which is an iconic horror film, I'd be satisfied.
Yeah, I would love to go back and do the 2005 Dawn of the Dead, because that was the first time that we got, and I think it is what's his name from the Justice League, the Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder did it, and it's got the Johnny Cash version of the Disturbed down with the sickness. They're fast, they're violent. It's a good cast. I would love to do that movie.
I mean,
have you seen it?
No.
Oh. It's good. We dude,
Well, fucking Mark's never going to commission anything again.
God, we zombie babies. That's what we need. Zombie babies.
Yeah, like Train Spotting. Anyway, thanks, Mark, for your commission. Speaking of commissions, we have a request from Dave Crane who says, "Hi, Shat Crew. I'd love to nominate the classic comedy Private Parts with Howard Stern. It's such a wild mix of shock jock chaos, genuine heart, and unforgettable radio moments. The film captures a whole era of broadcasting culture, and I think it's perfect for your style of breakdown and banter. I also want to say how much I love the show. I listen every week from Burton-on-Trent here in the UK, and it's always a highlight. I'd be really excited to hear what each of you thinks about this one and whether it still holds up today. Thanks for considering it. Best regards, Dave Crane."
Yeah, I wrote him back and told him definitely. It stars one of the stars of next week's film, Paul Giamatti.
Yeah, Private Parts recently came up at my gym at Dark Matter Jiu-Jitsu. One of my friends, Charlie, and I, he brought it up kind of out of the blue. We started talking about it, and he asked if we'd ever done it on the podcast and made this incredible case for it. So kind of serendipitous that Dave also wants to hear it. Dave, I agree with you that particularly in this era where radio personalities are struggling, being kind of squeezed out financially and with listenership, I think that it would be a nice stroll down memory lane to check back in with Howard Stern, who in 97, I mean, talk about radio personality big enough to get a movie. It's nuts. And Big D and I always love anything set in New York. WNBC.
Yeah, I think it's funny. I remember watching when he plays himself as a younger college student, but it's clearly a 40-year-old Howard Stern. But it's great to go back and watch it now because you think about Elon Musk and Howard Stern. Have there been two other public figures who have flipped which political party finds them the darling? It used to be that the right loved Howard Stern and the left hated the misogyny. Yeah. Then you had Elon, the darling of the left, who then flipped it, and then the right loved him. I think it'd be great to watch him because he was such a controversial figure, and everybody supported him until now. Everyone's like, "Oh, cancel him. Cancel him." I'd love to do it.
Well, it sounds like you guys have already been in touch, so that one's a go. Private Parts in 2026. Well, in 2025, Big D, what movie are we doing next?
Gene, next week, struggling writer and wine enthusiast Miles takes his engaged friend Jack on a trip to wine country for a last singles guy bonding experience. While Miles wants to relax and enjoy the wine, Jack is in search of a fling before his wedding. Soon, Jack is sleeping with Stephanie while her friend Maya connects with Miles. While Miles lets slip that Jack is getting married, both women are furious, sending the trip into disarray. Commissioned by Christopher D. 2004 release. Like I'd already mentioned, Paul Giamatti. This is going to be a very different film than what we just reviewed, but I'm excited to go back and watch it.
I was about to make fun of the idea of a sort of a bachelor getaway with wine and a friend trying to get laid. But then I remembered that was my bachelor party. You had the wine. Yeah. King B was trying to get laid.
There were no ladies involved other than King B's Tinder hookups.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here it's Merlot instead of Pinot Grigio.
Not only were there no ladies involved, we went to Pride. It's my gay bachelor party.
It was zesty.
I never found my Miguel. All right, Big D. And no pressure on Sideways. The commissioner is only a guy who had his own wine brand, so I'm sure this will be fine. Just fine. Sorry, Chris, in advance. Well, thank you, Chris. Thank you, Mark, for your commissions. Thank you to all the commissions to make this podcast possible. That concludes this week's episode of Shat the Movies. Be sure to follow us on social media and share with a friend. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram at Shat the Movies. Email us, host@shatpod.com. Support the podcast by shopping our Amazon affiliate link, buying our merch, or by commissioning your own movie. Find all information by visiting our website, shatpod.com. He also plays rugby. We're going to die. Also, you can check out our sister podcast, Shat on TV, where we review TV series such as Lovecraft Country, Westworld, True Detective, Taboo, American Gods, Game of Thrones, and Watchmen. Seriously, he's built like a brick. You can find all the information on our website, shatpod.com/TV, wherever fine podcasts can be found, including Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe. And if you stop by Apple Podcasts, please leave a 5-star review. It helps the podcast grow. On behalf of my co-host, Big D, I'm Gene Lyons. Join us next time for the following movie.
Let me show you how this is done. Hold the glass up and examine the wine against the light. You're looking for color and clarity. Now, stick your nose in it. Maybe some strawberry. Oh, there's just a flutter of like a nutty Edam cheese.
When are we drinking?
Now. Are you chewing gum?
No.
Spit it out.
Please don't open the shack!
Get married on Saturday. Here's my last week of freedom.
We're gonna play some golf, eat some great food, and we're gonna send you off in style. It's gonna be great.
Miles, these girls want to party with us. If they want to drink Merlot, we're drinking Merlot.
No, if anybody orders Merlot, I'm leaving. I am not drinking any Merlot!
How do we go back to my place?
Tonight we are celebrating Miles' book deal, published author.
Oh, what's the title?
The day after yesterday.
Oh. You mean today?
Yeah.
I don't know what it'll sound like.
Are
We are recording.
You can call me a puss fuck.
No, puss fuck. That is on my list, dude. Puss fuck is right there. Yep, puss fuck is there.
Wow, you have a phone list?
Well, it's on my notes.
You think your notes on a phone?
Yeah, I do it on my phone.
Oh my lord.
No, the initial when I'm watching.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, when I'm watching. Yeah.
That's terrible. How do you type that fast?
Oh, I do the voice to text.
Oh. While the movie's playing?
Correct. I
You
have
must be
headphones
horrible
on.
to watch movies with.
Oh, I don't. That's why I don't watch it with anybody. I would do it differently.
Weird. It's like monk level shit. Like TV's monk, not a monk. Anyway.